Send a powerful message to those people who live in the past and tell them no more business as usual and no more repeat performances because we're going to make America great again.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 53 of Two Noobs Talking with somebody else in for the vacationing Matt. Matt, I hope you're having a great time. Why the hell are you on my set?
Well, you're supposed to be Matt and I'm supposed to be you. So I'm you in your spot. You should be in Matt's spot.
I'm confused. Let's try to change it. Can
All right, hold on. You know, I went to a lot of trouble getting down to Texas to sit in your chair, but okay, give me 1 second here. Here, does this make you feel better? How's that?
What is that, like a 20-minute drive for you?
In my dick rocket, yeah, absolutely. Take up on so is this now. This is weird because I'm in Matt's office, but you're the host, so you're Matt, and I'm you in Matt's office. So now I'm confused.
God, maybe we just go to Steve's set, and you could be Steve in Steve's set.
Well, that's no fun. But all right, let me try to. Jesus Christ! Oh my God. That's not right either.
Snake pit.
Oh,
Jurassic Park. Yo, watch out, man. Be careful.
Oh my God. All right. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know him, our resident third noob and wonderful human being and probably the funniest dude I know, Mr. Steve Merry. Thank you for joining us for 53.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here once again, hanging out with the noobs.
Yes.
I promise not to blow any blood vessels today.
I hope not. So let's get to the numbers here so we can, our 53 staple. So we were talking and we got Hugh Douglas, one of my favorite Eagles of all time.
Oh, he was running around, so I jacked his ass up. Who was that quarterback he hit?
I forget.
Chicago Bears. Jim Miller.
Miller.
Yeah. Playoff game, yeah.
He was such a great interview. He made Derek Gunn famous. That's the best part about it.
Did he?
Yeah, Derek Gunn was nobody until Hugh got to town.
Because him and Brandon Graham are really kind of the thing. Although Derek Gunn's no longer with, I don't know if you know that, but he's no longer with NBC Sports Philly. But he and Brandon Graham for the last few years were kind of like
they were awesome together. Yeah.
So
you got a flyer?
Oh yeah, recently traded for some picks. Shane Gostisbehere, the Ghost Bear. He's in Arizona now. He was, as far as I know, he's one of the only ones to wear 53 in the orange and black. It's just a kind of a weird number.
And then we go to Sixers lore. Both of us didn't know this. Daryl Dawkins.
In fairness, Daryl Dawkins last year as a Sixer, I believe we looked, it was 1982. I was one.
And I was so
right.
We probably weren't watching hoops at a level.
No, at least not one that I would remember for sure.
And round out the four, the Philly.
Yeah, this was another one that we overlooked until we looked it up online, and I can't believe we blew this one. Bobby Abreu.
Yes. The sole reason you don't enter the home run derby when you're an adequate hitter, because you will ruin your swing and bat like 129 or something right after you win the home run derby.
Didn't he clobber like 20 home runs or something in one round? It was ridiculous.
He literally makes me now, when I watch that, when the person wins, I'm like, oh, they're gonna have a shit year. Like, because it just like it ingrained into me how bad you could be after hitting 70-mile-an-hour pitches out of the ballpark on All-Star Weekend.
And on the numbers still, you guys had some homework for me last week.
Yes.
You are correct. Todd Fedoruk, for the majority of his Flyer career, wore number 29. However, he did wear 52 his first season with the Flyers. So that was probably one of those reserve call-up numbers, like, here's a Jersey kid, and he had no say in it.
Yeah, you're here. You don't even have your own stick. Here's a jersey.
Exactly.
Back in those days, though, they were only running across the parking lot. So I would hope that he would have his equipment. It's not, we were talking other stories where guys were traded, hit the red eye, and they were, I think Tony Amonte was one of them we were brought up when he was first traded to the Flyers. He was using everybody else's equipment because his didn't get there in time. It's great stories.
So the Phantoms call up now. They got to come from Lehigh Valley, so it is a little bit more of a hike rather than
drive. Yeah, that's a bit of a
across the parking lot. But I had, before we get started, I did want to share something that I sent you and Matt last week. You gotta let me share here. I was walking around a Target in Oaks, Pennsylvania, for the purpose of trying to find something to temporarily reattach a crown to my tooth, which is a different story altogether.
You don't get this one too, noobs.
So I'm walking around this Target and I happen to come across a book.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Dr. Fauci.
What a phenomenal book there. Look at that.
And this blows my mind. This isn't even like an autobiography. Somebody actually took the time to write this about Dr. Fauci.
Listeners, it's Dr. Fauci, How a Boy from Brooklyn Becomes America's Doctor. Please, I got to puke, so if we could just take a little break.
This just absolutely flabbergasted me. And the title, How a Boy from Brooklyn Became America's Doctor. Well, I said, I have to open the book and see, the answer to that question. And it was actually pretty simple. It was a one-page book. There.
Exactly.
I have incriminating information about both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So, but then of course, so does everybody else. I don't know how I got so lucky to be America's doctor.
Scumbag.
Funny story. Believe it or not, I've never actually heard Dr. Fauci utter a word.
Interesting.
So that impression was based entirely on Dana Carvey's impression. Mr. Carvey, if you're listening, I love your work. That was
nice.
That was my ode to you. But this also got me thinking, like if a phony baloney like Dr. Fauci can get his own children's book out there, I mean, why can't I? And
hands off my rocket.
Hands off my rocket. How a Philly kid thrust himself into the space race. All about, you got my rocket back there in the background. I'm standing on Mars, planting my flag. It's now, this is not quite a biography yet. This is a prophecy. I haven't made it to Mars. Maybe one day. But it would be nice for me to have my own book. If Fauci can get his own, I think I should be able to get one as well. And if anyone's willing to write that for me, that would be great.
Totally. And we also, just so everybody knows, we have started a fundraiser for Steve's Space Adventures, and we have the Two Noobs Steve Space Adventures shirt with, ironically, if you go to the back of it, Steve's personal rocket is on it.
Yes. So, I didn't realize the funds were going to be used to send me to space. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So if you would like to buy one, it's $20 and it's at the link below.
That is a bargain, an absolute bargain. $20.
Check it out. You can have a Steve Space Adventure shirt.
I love it.
We do things on Two News. We spend more time being ridiculous off camera than we do on camera.
You have no idea how long it took me to draw that book cover for my book. See, that's for whoever wants to write it. I've already done the illustration for the cover. I mean, that's some of the hardest work right there.
And it's pretty simple. I think it already writes itself. We're going to sell t-shirts. You're going to raise money. You're going to shoot yourself into space like everybody else is these days. Topic 1.
Wow. That was an amazing segue. This is your first time hosting, and that was fantastic.
We have this amazing story. We're going to throw this up on the screen. This is a Newsmax article. a new Star Trek adventure. Who's going next, Steve?
It would be one William Shatner. Captain Kirk himself is actually going to go into real space, sort of. Can we first, before we even get into the space aspect, can we first talk about the fact that William Shatner is 90?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I again, for everybody that knows, I say this all the time when we talk about space. My immediate thought, William Shatner's going, must be an alien. They're returning them all home. This is my only understanding of what's going on. He's doing it with Bezos' rocket. So, obviously Bezos went home. We already know that. He Blue Origin. He flew home to his home turf, wherever that may be. Alien looking dude. William Shatner, is going, to hang out with the real life Klingons at this point. I mean, that's all I can think.
I'm going into space.
Or rich people got way too much money.
That too. But again with Bezos, I mean, we talked about this before. He's taking people into space, but he's kind of like going up,
looking at it,
sort of where like the line turns purple and black, the horizon, and you're like, oh look, space. Okay, time to go back.
Well, just like Amazon, his space adventure is the same thing. He gives you something for kind of something. Like it's never, you know what I mean? It's never what you really wanted.
I mean, you contrast,
you really want, it takes longer to get to you.
Contrast this with the fact that what's his face? Elon Musk just sent 4, I'm not going to say common people, because 3 of them had
relatively normal but highly educated people.
Not only highly educated, but 3 of them had like extensive flight experience. And the 4th one was a doctor. Which, by the way, just to give him credit, I don't know if it's Elon's credit or the credit for the guy who bought the tickets. At the time that they splashed down, they had raised something like $127 million for St. Jude's Hospital, which is fantastic.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
More people should go into space if we're going to get that kind of
yeah, right? But they went up to space. They spent like 3 days. They were higher, apparently, than the International Space Station.
And they were doing experiments.
Which
you should be doing. William Shatner, if you're going to space, can you give us at least, I don't even care if it's a simple experiment. Do something that Fauci would do. Highly irrelevant and, past its time. But at least it would be an experiment if we're counting those things.
I'm performing gain of function on these cells.
Just don't splash down in China water.
Yeah, right. So he's going to go up. Did the article say something like he's going to spend 10 minutes in space and
something like that? It's a float. That's what the Bezos thing. They just kind of float there for a minute. They graze it and they come home.
Is that as far as his tech will get them, or is he just?
Yeah, I don't know much. Your rocket is far more advanced than his.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my rocket. Okay, I do. It's a great design, but I do have some problems. These fuel pods here, they're great for giving you nice action, but you can't really go very continuous. You get a good burst, and then you got to wait like 15 minutes to a couple hours before you can get another shot at it.
Another launch.
Another launch. I am experimenting with some additives to put in the fuel pods that'll give you some more extended time. But at the moment, if you're flying longer than 36 hours, you should consult your doctor.
I did learn something about said product that you just mentioned. Do you know if you stick it in plants, they will stand up straight also?
No kidding.
Yeah, if you just stick it in the soil. Literally, I found that out today. I was blown away.
That's impressive. I also learned back in my days interning with a pharmaceutical company in their legal department. It's also used for back surgery because believe it or not, the drug is intended to improve blood flow. Yeah. So better blood flow, apparently. Right.
That makes complete sense.
I'm sorry, we were talking about Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos.
Jeff Bezos is a dick, so we're right on par.
So he can only, I mean, so the limit of his tech is he can only get them up to
That's
kind
what
of.
I am not the scientist at all of the group of people that run Two Noobs at all. But yeah, that's what it seems like, that they just take cruising missions with the other. I don't even remember the other guy's name. The one who did it first. No one remembers those people.
Right.
Whoever did it first did the same thing. They were up there for, a little while. Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but
they packed a lunch and went to see space.
I hate to say it, but I kind of feel like Bezos is just kind of doing like Star Tours, and Elon's actually like, hey, let's do some science. Let's do some science while we're in space.
Yeah. Elon's a bit of a scientist not in his like, I don't know if he has any degrees or anything like that, but he likes to, invent and test things out. He likes blowing up spaceships, apparently.
Well, I was going to say the ironic part about this is he's gone farther into space than Jeff Bezos, but I'm pretty sure Musk has had more rockets fail spectacularly.
He's got bodies on him. Like, shooting, I'm rockets, but bodies,
Right.
There's so many of them blew up, which also made me in my conspiracy theorist mind be like, did they ever go to space? Because they seem to not be able to figure this thing out. I literally thought that when he first started blowing rockets up, I'm like, something's fishy over there. Because they have like modern technology of you can lock, like, but he can't, but they didn't tell him.
Well, you and I talked about this before. What Musk shot up there was basically an improved version of like the Apollo missions.
Yeah.
So you were in that. It looked, what it looks like? It looks like an LED light bulb, kind of.
Of course, Elon Musk would launch an LED light bulb.
Yeah, right.
It's totally what he would do.
But so I watched the splashdown when the crew came back. It was like a Saturday evening. And they're just in this tin can floating in the middle of the ocean, waiting for some guys on a barge to come let them out.
The 70s. So we were right on par. Right on par.
We had space shuttles. Okay, which took off and landed like planes. Again, why are we going back?
Nonsense. That's nonsense speak. No, we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way.
Also, by the way, the old-fashioned way, I was looking at the tin can as it was sitting there, and I was watching with my father, and he's, what's all that black stuff all over the can? I'm like, oh, those are the scorch marks from atmosphere re-entry.
Eek. That was probably an uncomfortable go back.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the movie Apollo 13, they get the 3 minutes or whatever it was of blackout as they're coming through the atmosphere. I'm sure that was not,
you can't play Pokemon Go at that moment. Your stuff's gone.
Yeah, pretty much. The other thing I was going to say about the tin can was, I believe it was controlled. They had, as I said, they had 3 people on there who with flight experience, but I believe it was being controlled, like when they had to do their re-entry burns to kind of get the right angles and stuff. I think that was all coming from ground.
I would hope.
Ground control.
Yeah.
Well,
with supercomputers, like, what's that budget? Like, I shouldn't be paying for the coffee machine. I should be paying for getting those people back safely.
Absolutely. Now, I was told by, again, my father, who lived through the 70s and witnessed, these types of rescues. This was actually an improvement because I guess the technology wasn't so great on positioning back then. So the aircraft carrier that would have to come pick up the can could be like hours away because it's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, because you don't know where they're gonna lay. Yeah, that's funny to even think about that. That is crazy.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, we used to have to wait for hours just to get the aircraft carrier to get there. But this was actually, they were pretty much in the right spot in the Atlantic Ocean. So
I like technology, those kinds of things of technology. So moving on to topic 2. Steve brought this up. We're entitling this, why are movies getting worse than they were? Like, why are we not satisfied with them is the real question. We don't really have an article about this, but Steve, explain why we brought this up. We had a decent conversation about it, so we would like to bring it to everybody.
This all started, I was watching, just flipping around on YouTube as one does on a Thursday or Friday morning when you're bored. And I came across a video, and I think it's going to be in our show notes. It was called Why Do Movies Suck, or something like that, by this guy who sounds like a drunken Scottish fellow.
Nice.
But it was curious. It had a picture of, I believe it was Star Wars, one of the later Star Wars movies, as kind of like the screenshot. So I clicked on it and I watched it, and I thought, and the guy went through, he actually took a movie called Tremors, which isn't a beacon of filmmaking as I understand it, but he pointed something out in there about setup and payoff in a movie. You set something up and then it pays off later. And Tremors actually had a really good example of that. And then he contrasted it with one of the new Star Wars movies. I think it was The Last Jedi. It was the episode 8 or whatever it was, that number. And he said, this is like something happens, and when you think about it, it just sort of feels like somebody's like, oh, we're going to have to explain that. Let's give somebody a line, a throwaway line. And there you go. And it actually made sense. And then I clicked on another video of his where he talked about villains are deteriorating. And he compares and contrasts Darth Vader with Kylo Ren. Darth Vader from the original 3 Star Wars movies, not the Anakin Skywalker petulant teenager from 1, 2, and 3.
Not that guy.
And he made a very compelling case about why Darth Vader is such a huge recognized villain, and Kylo Ren is kind of like people kind of feel
idiot.
Yeah, it's like meh, and in that same video, he started making points about how part of giving a villain kind of gravitas is following your story arc properly, where the hero needs to have a struggle. If your hero does not struggle, there's no reason to follow along with them. There's no reason to empathize with them. If you beat the villain in the beginning and then you beat him again at the end, it's like, what?
It sends a really bad message.
It does. I think
storytelling. We conversely talked about, they're having the same trouble with baby faces in wrestling. Nobody wants to be a baby face in wrestling because the story's not being sold properly. It's all about the comeback. It's all about just look at John Cena, just for the exact same thing that we were talking about Star Wars. No one would like John Cena now if he just always won in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, he built himself up. He was a bad guy that turned good, that then had to overcome things. Same Brian Danielson. He wrestles in another federation. Same thing. He had to get knocked down so many times before the big payoff that everybody loved. It's the same. They're just not putting enough time in the stories, I don't think.
I think that's a big part of it. This guy made a good point about how in the original 3 Star Wars movies, you have Darth Vader he's a badass. He's always in control.
Yep.
Everything he does is highly calculated. He's strong. He's everything you want out of a villain. Luke Skywalker starts out as a whiny little teenager.
Yep.
Who just wants to get out of whatever the planet he was on. Tatooine, yeah. Thank you. And over the course of 3 movies, he loses to Darth Vader in Empire, like badly. He gets his hand cut off. He gets his hand cut off, but not just that, like Darth is toying with him. He's like throwing crap at him using the Force. He beats the crap out of him.
Yes. And he leaves him. He literally leaves him to a point to where he slides down someplace where to hang on to an aerial antenna.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just to get away from the ass kicking.
Exactly.
But that's telling the story.
Exactly. So in Return of the Jedi, Luke has now grown to the point where he defeats Vader, not only defeats Vader, but convinces him to turn to the good side from the dark side and overthrow the Emperor.
Yeah.
That's a classic hero villain arc. The hero struggles, he loses early, he struggles, he gains the knowledge and the strength he needs, and in the end, he succeeds. And this guy then said, well, look at the new series where Rey basically is the hero. She comes out of nowhere, can use the Force like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren is a sniveling teenager who throws temper tantrums all the time when he doesn't get his way. He gets shit on by his boss Snoke.
Constantly.
He loses every battle to Rey. I'm actually trying to think the other day. I don't think he actually ever wins a battle against someone who's a formidable opponent.
No, I don't think so.
In any of the movies.
It's such bad storytelling though. Because you're not gonna ever like no one's gonna be like there's not a hero in that story. It's like they're now just pre-stamping, okay, this is the hero. Watch this person. But there is no story behind it anymore.
It's
lazy.
And I have to give this guy credit. I thought for a long time, I'm like, why can't I get kind of behind Rey as the hero in this? And I was like, is she not a good actress? What's going on here? And I think this guy pointed it out. She wins everything like immediately with no training.
You're not gonna want to, like, we all know this with perceived pushed characters. You're not gonna get invested because you already know what the outcome is. Do you think I thought immediately when we were having this conversation, and I don't need an answer from you, but my question is, do you think that with the way of the world and the women's rights that Star Wars doesn't want to show a woman getting beat up to create that character?
This guy made that point. And there might be something to that. It's a tough position.
Yeah. I don't even know if it'd be comfortable watching, you know what I mean? That.
It's true.
It could be a cat. What am I trying to say? It's a good risk to take for them because I don't even know. Even saying that or asking that question, I don't even know if I would want to watch a female hero get beat up.
But if you don't, that's the thing. If they don't struggle, I mean, maybe it's not getting
payoff if you don't. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
it's not getting
the weird part of it.
It's not getting beat up, but they have to struggle.
Tell a story.
They have to struggle somehow with something. Yeah. And Kylo Ren she did not struggle with Kylo Ren. Like mind games or physical strength. She was besting him in every way possible. Now, the thing that I was telling you about, I actually thought of earlier, which was another way to crap on the new Star Wars for their storytelling. So, you mentioned Luke gets his hand cut off in Empire Strikes Back. Luke also gets his mind blown because Darth Vader tells him, "I'm your father."
Yeah, through the Force. He didn't even come up and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm your dad." He literally boom,
right. And the shock, I mean, you see the initial shock on Luke's face. He's like, no, because everything he has been taught to hate, okay, in his life is the dark side. Yeah, and now the man who you are supposed to despise more than anyone, the most inhuman person in the universe, okay,
who is literally running the universe.
Yeah, basically the Adolf Hitler of the galaxy, okay, is your dad.
Yes,
he's your dad.
One thing that Lucas grazes over that nobody nobody really takes it in. Like, Luke's dad literally walked all over the galaxy just murdering Jedis, just murdering them. Like, he's like the biggest, baddest thing in that galaxy. Like,
so understandably, not only is Luke physically beaten in this battle in Empire, he now has to carry the weight that his dad is responsible for like mass genocide.
yeah, exactly.
And how do you deal with that?
People.
And it's even in Return of the Jedi, he goes back to Yoda and it's like, he's still not comfortable with that idea. He's like, is Darth Vader really my father? And Yoda's like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God.
But
and he struggles.
It's a good story.
He struggles with it. And he's like, I can't kill my own father. You know, he's internally conflicted and he has to fight through all these emotions. And, you know, people help him along the way. And that leads to a satisfying ending. Rey, similarly, as we find out in the final chapter of this Star Wars trilogy.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But frankly, if you didn't see this coming, I mean, I saw it coming from a mile away. So she's related to Palpatine, who was the Emperor in the original trilogy. Okay, so that it explains some things. That didn't seem to hit her nearly as hard as Luke finding out Darth Vader was his father.
Yeah.
Like, Rey didn't have to struggle internally. Oh my God, this guy who slaughtered millions and billions of people in the universe.
Was the reason for Darth Vader, was the reason for Kylo Ren, was the reason for all people in the...
Oh, I'm related to this guy. Oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, she never had to struggle with that.
And she was like,
Right. Yeah,
I got this lightsaber. I got this handled. She's running roughshod. She's running roughshod like Vader was running roughshod back in the day before Luke Skywalker.
Right. And what made it even worse was we made a whole deal. Well, not we, the filmmakers, made a whole big deal through the first two movies. Like, well, she doesn't know who her parents are, and that's the most important thing. She needs to find out who her parents are. So that's what's going to make her whole. And then she finds out she's related to this guy, and even though she's been struggling with, who are my parents? Oh, okay, he's my granddad. That's fine. That's cool.
Could have been Winnie the Pooh. Same exact.
Yeah. And I think storytelling in movies in general is just.
I think it's actually gone further than just movies. I see it in the stories that I love in wrestling. They're just running the same four, and they're not being creative anymore. Like, the whole world for a while hasn't been as creative as it could. I mean, I see some newer things coming out now, but I mean, with the movies, the remake after remake after, how many Fast and Furiouses are there? 177 of them? And apparently John Cena is now someone's brother, sister's aunt, uncle. Like, yeah.
So that's I'm gonna shit on Star Wars again.
This is your whole MO for this.
Well, as we've talked about, I'm going to get to the Dark Knight in a minute. Not as a bad thing, but so Last Jedi, right? I like to affectionately refer to the middle part of that as the unexplained journey to Casino Royale. When Finn and what's her face, Rose, I think that was her name, they get off the ship that's being chased by the Empire somehow without being seen. And go to a world that's basically a giant casino to find a master code breaker so they can break onto an Empire or First Order ship. Sorry, Empire, whatever, same thing. They spectacularly
to find the hacker, like that.
Right. And they not only fail, they get the wrong guy.
Nice.
They don't actually do what they were set out to do, which was to turn off the light speed tracker on the ship. So it becomes completely pointless. But like, I just feel like somebody in a room said, oh, you know, it'd be great if we had a scene on a planet with a casino. That'd be cool. And so they decided, well, okay, let's write around that to make that happen. And instead of kind of having it integrally flow from the story, it's like we're gonna take time out and go play James Bond for a little while.
Kevin Smith in his Evening with Kevin Smith tells a story of he got fired from writing Superman a long time ago. I think
the Death of Superman, or
well, it was the Tim Burton one.
The Tim Burton one, yeah.
And he said the one thing that made him furious is he had written all these comic book things because he's a comic book nerd, but Tim Burton kept on like, I could imagine him fighting a giant spider, and that was his whole thing. Like Tim Burton couldn't get past the giant spider, and it was like it was putting conflict in between them because I don't want to write fucking giant spider, like, you know what I mean? Like I want to write this, but I could totally see that as you were saying that it probably was someone of power was like, we need Vegas in there, and then I go write this useless story because it's all about marketing, right?
Yeah.
How many ads do you think they sold in the casino area? That's what I think it's all about. Because you've got a casino, you could sell 3 different beer ads, a Pepsi ad. You could,
Yep.
You could sell. You could make a lot of money off that movie.
It seemed so out of place and so pointless that just it bothered me.
There's a lot.
Another thing I'm seeing, and you and I have talked about this, is copycatism, where you see in Hollywood, you see something succeed, and then you try to replicate that, even when it doesn't lend itself to that. And the perfect example to me is in The Dark Knight, you had Heath Ledger play the Joker, which I think it universally is like, people agree that was brilliant.
Yeah. Stole the show.
Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely.
And there's another villain who succeeds over his hero multiple times, by the way.
Yes. But like ends up hanging upside down. And
even when Batman thinks he's won, it was like, oh no, Joker planned that. It's like, oh, great. But his performance was brilliant, and the Joker is a character that you can manipulate to be manic and sort of, kind of shaky, crazy kind of guy, right? Batman v Superman comes along. And I think a lot of people agree Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor in that movie was not good.
Not at least not what we're used to.
Well, I mean, neither was Ledger's Joker. I mean, that was not.
Yeah, but that was good. I think that's two sides of the coin.
I mean,
think the Joker improved. The Lex Luthor absolutely was. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. I more want the old Lex Luthor.
Oh, Gene Hackman?
Yes. That was just better.
I agree, but
he wasn't trying to match power with him. He wasn't trying to match catchphrases. He just wanted Superman dead. Like kind of like the villain. Like, I just want him dead.
Right. So the thing that I saw was, and was it writing? Was it, the directing, the choreography? Was it him acting? What was it? I saw it on, I guess it was TNT a few weeks ago. And what I did was I listened to Lex Luthor's lines, his dialogue, to see, was there something wrong with that? Was that the reason? When you listen to the dialogue that Luthor puts out, 95% of it, I think, would have been fine had it been delivered like a Gene Hackman would deliver it as Lex Luthor. Okay, as kind of the self-absorbed kind of billionaire businessman, not as Jesse Eisenberg doing a Joker impression, which is what I feel like Lex Luthor was in Batman.
And that's tough. I feel like a lot of villains are. It's almost like he was the ultimate villain, so we're just going to be that quirky catchphrase. But the thing about that Joker, they weren't quirky catchphrases. It was brilliant writing and brilliant acting.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't. But I can see what you mean. Like it's just ridiculous.
not even Gene Hackman could pull off the thing with the Jolly Rancher, but I think a straighter portrayal of Lex Luthor would have improved that movie immensely. And I don't know whose decision it was to have him play that way, whether it was his or Zack Snyder or who. But I feel like the movie could have been improved had they gone in that direction rather than, and I'm not saying be Gene Hackman. No. I'm just saying deliver.
Act with the kind of quality that Gene Hackman acted with is what we're kind of talking about. Because he was a damn good actor.
Right. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people said the same thing when, and it's surprising to see something like this in Batman Forever, which I don't care for. But they said, a lot of people said Tommy Lee Jones played Two-Face like the Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's yeah.
he was too crazy funny.
But I think so was the Riddler.
That's another problem. You had two guys who were basically the same character.
Yeah, and and they were kind of they were out trying to outdo each other. The Riddler's in the back. It was cool for its time, that performance of the Riddler, but completely does not. If everybody started doing that, movies would be terrible. Right.
But there you have two characters acting the same way, two main villains acting the same way, and they're both basically copying the Joker, Jack Nicholson's Joker, but still,
But I don't enjoy the movie, but I totally understand what you mean. Yeah, you gotta I guess my only thing I can say to it before we move on is, are we so concerned with movies as just making the same thing over, or are we over appreciating one actor? Or on the other hand, are there people that just appreciate the good actors and realize that it's really hard to act? So you're never going to get the great performance all the time. That's kind of what makes the great performances great. It's like watching Gretzky. Like, that was different in the 80s, than the other great players that were on the ice. But when Gretzky was on the ice, it was different.
I agree with you. You can't get great performances out of everybody. That's never going to happen. But I don't think we're asking for great. We're not asking for Marlon Brando performances.
No, we're asking not to repeat, and we're not asking for the next mobster movie to act like Al Pacino, where we want you to create your own character. I think that's what we're
absolutely. But the problem is, what Hollywood does is they see something succeed and they think that it succeeds for a certain reason, and so they try to replicate that reason instead of emphasizing good character development, good story development.
I 100% agree.
It just. And one last thing before we move on, is this aggravates the hell out of me. I am not a Marvel. I know you are, but I'm not a Marvel guy. And I think
marriage.
I will say I like the first Iron Man. That was a good movie.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is a good actor, though. So
I also loved Iron Man 3. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I thought it was cool.
But like I said, Robert Downey Jr. is a good actor. So you could give him a character and he could make it work. I think that's why it was good. I don't know if the Iron Man story is that interesting.
Probably not.
This guy builds a suit and flies. It's like Batman with rockets. It's you know what I mean? What you're gonna do when you take on Jeff Bezos with your space.
Exactly. I see myself more as Bruce Wayne though, than Tony Stark. But one thing that absolutely drives me insane about every single Marvel movie, and they put it in every goddamn trailer they do, and I give them credit, Deadpool makes fun of this, the superhero landing.
Yes.
When you land on the ground, one knee down, and you're looking down at the ground, and then you kind of dramatically look up and to the side. Can we stop freaking doing that.
No, because we're gonna do it for whatever that Captain America 175th episode of something where he throws his shield and runs, which he did in the comic books for years. No, there's going to be a part, and this is why I try to get away from movies as much as I can. There's a part of theatrical movies that I won't watch because all it is just duplicate it. They're just going to run until people stop watching them. They're going to keep doing them. That's what they do.
I'm just saying.
Terrible.
I've never seen Batman do that. I've never seen Superman do that.
No.
Just saying. No, I didn't. Wonder Woman. I like the Wonder Woman movie. She does a little bit more posing than some of the other DC movie characters. And I don't know why that is, but she didn't do the superhero landing.
So weird.
You know, it's unnecessary, and
that's
it's
also why
stupid.
Deadpool's so popular.
Well, that's
Because
also
he makes fun of all the ridiculous.
agree.
I think most comic book fans that like the movies along with the comic books, I think it's a kitschy little fun. Like, we can make fun of it because we're comic book fans, but if someone came along and made fun of it, we'd be mad about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say that. You don't like, you know, if Siskel and Ebert were like, I don't like that landing, we must shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, but we in turn will make fun of it. That's kind of
hey, let me point out, even Deadpool struggles, okay, before he wins. I mean, freaking Juggernaut rips his legs off, you know, in the middle of Deadpool 2.
Yes.
He's not winning every fight.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to topic 3. So, have you ever dreamed about winning the lottery?
Well, this is not going to happen,
Unless,
as far as I know, without me winning the lottery. I can say yes. I've rarely played the lottery. I've done it a couple times when, like, the what's the big one? Powerball. When the Powerball was like $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just for shits and giggles. Yeah.
Everybody could use $500 million.
Yeah. Right. Oh, well, I've actually determined all I need is 2 million.
There you go.
And 2 million, and I can live my life and just be happy. Clearing 2 million, not before taxes.
Yeah, I would love to, man, because then I don't ever talk to anybody.
Yeah, right.
I can go in my hideout and plan world domination that never happens because I'm too lazy.
So to answer your question, yes, I've had, you know, thoughts of winning the lottery, but at the same time, I'm like, well, crap, if I win the lottery, I better get a good attorney.
Yeah. And not tell anybody.
Right. Right.
So
but
you brought up this USA Today article that basically touches on some crazy things. Just share with us a little bit of what you found amazing with the with the dastardly people that what the links they would go to when a family member won the lottery.
So I guess it didn't surprise me, the stories that were in this article. I think it was just more kind of shocking that it's only coming to light now that this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
So this article pointed out that people who win the lottery, it's not, you know, sunshine and rainbows for the rest of your life a lot of the time. So a lot of people blow through the money and go bankrupt.
Oh, absolutely.
Which, you know, we'll talk about in a minute. But what you were asking specifically is, one of the things the article says is, don't tell your friends and family you won the lottery, because then they are going to move heaven and earth to try and get money out of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Deservedly or not. And one of the stories said somebody, I think it was the guy, it was a relative, but it might have just been a friend, hired a hitman to try and collect like an inheritance or something.
Unbelievable. It says they've experienced bankruptcy, divorce, prison time, and have even been murdered. There's stories of this, of lottery winners. Experts say if you win the lottery, don't contact a tax professional, investment advisor. Like they don't bring light to this.
Right. Well, on the one hand, that's hard
because it'll land you in big financial trouble because you're paying your tax preparator some of your money. You're paying this guy some of the money. Like you need a basic lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And a bank. That's all you need if you win the lottery. And don't tell anybody. You know what I mean? Just live above your means, but do it in a classy way. That's kind of the advice that USA Today's given.
The part about not telling anybody is kind of hard because the lottery wants to promote its winners.
Yes.
And get your name out there. So maybe my strategy of playing big Powerballs is a bad idea. Maybe I should play smaller ones.
It could be. I also thought when you first sent this article, before I even read it, just reading the headline, I thought about that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a great concept of just showing generational wealth and generational struggle. And they do a lot of theories on if you're not used to being around money, you might blow through the money because you're not used to having money.
And I think that's the biggest problem with lottery.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you told me a story about somebody you knew who won the lottery, and it wasn't a big jackpot.
Yeah,
it was
years ago. Yeah.
I think you said it was something on the order of $100,000 cleared. And it's easy to just, when you're not thinking about it, just blow through that money buying stuff. Mm-hmm. And I like to think that if I won the lottery, I would have a smarter plan. Invest most of it in kind of safe investments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are gonna, they're not going to give you huge returns. But if you already have a couple million, you don't need huge returns, right?
Yeah.
But I think, more than relatives hiring hitmen to come out and get you, I do think people, and even without the lottery, I think people have a hard time with money and being able to control themselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I hear anecdotal stories all the time about people who are, getting government assistance for childcare or something, and they're using it to buy $500 purses. It's like, that's, I only make 20 grand a year, but look at my Beamer in the driveway. It's like that.
It's tough. Money is the hardest thing in the world because the world has created money. Be money. That's kind of the crazy part about it. Like it's created itself. Like the government has created you to almost worship it, so it becomes so important to people.
Well, that's the funny part. The government is just as bad as most people, I think, with money.
No, they're worse. The government doesn't know how to spend money.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't make any money, and it doesn't know how to spend. Well, it doesn't know how to just so we can get taxes clear. It doesn't know how to spend your money well. Because that's what they're doing. Just so we're clear, that it's your money that they're spending.
Yes.
Not Steven, not just Steve. They're not just spending Steve's money. Because if you would stop giving the government all your money, you'd have, money to buy your rocket or build your rocket.
Maybe. But so government people, I just think they have struggles with money. But the other part of the article about people, the hangers on, trying to get a piece and going to extreme lengths to do it. I sort of suspected that, but to hear some actual stories of it is a little wild.
The fact that even murder, like lottery winners have been murdered by people they knew over money. It blows my mind. Like you think it, but just to see that article and read that, I was like, wow, people are just as bad as we think they are.
And I guess the one part that I did find weird was when you said that some of the lottery winners have ended up in jail.
Yeah.
Like, did they think they could get away with things now that they've got money?
Now that they had money. Yeah, I guess. I guess that's a common misconception in this world. Got a little dough, you can get away with. There was that Massachusetts. She was some kind of a government official. She was like, I would like to say, did something with the water. She was like involved in the policing of the water, and she got pulled over. This was just a video I saw. This is a random story, but this is just entitlement. Like, she literally was dressing down the officers because they had no right to pull her over because it was in a position of power within the community. Like that, but that's, I could see that with, people, got a couple $100,000, maybe they think they're above the law now. Like, people are weird.
Yeah. Although I don't recall a specific example from that article of somebody going to jail, but it could also be tax fraud.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That could land you in jail.
How many times do we hear that of just famous people that hired the wrong person that was embezzling their money? They don't work for them for 20 years, and then all of a sudden the IRS comes knocking. Hey, you owe me X amount of dollars. Well, why? Well, in 1984.
Yeah, Joe Blow went to the Cayman Islands with your money.
Didn't do a very good job.
Yeah, it is crazy what money will do.
Yes. Moving on to sports. Let's go topic 4 here. We got sports to get ourselves out of this this money talk here. So Steve, you sent me over the article of the Ravens game. Ravens Broncos, I believe. Yeah. Right. And the Ravens were up big, and they had a streak of 100-yard rushing games.
I believe that's right. Yes.
And you were telling me that Jim Harbaugh ran the ball.
John.
Oh, blame them both. So he calls a running play. They pick up the 100 yards when the game was completely out, and there's some controversy over the unwritten rule of football.
Right. So the Broncos head coach, whose name escapes me, I don't really care.
Vic Fangio.
Oh, that sounds right. Okay.
Okay.
We'll go with that. So Vic Fangio was upset.
We're just going to call him Vic Fangio for the entire time.
He was upset because you summarized it correctly. To be more specific, as I understand it, the Ravens were up 16 points with something like 10 seconds left. The Broncos were driving. They tried to shoot for the end zone. Pass was intercepted. You've got 3-5 seconds left, whatever. Normal course of action would be to take a knee, get the hell out of there with your win.
Yeah.
Because they were sitting at 97 yards, the Ravens decided, well, we want to keep our streak alive, so let's run a running play. And this wasn't an issue of running up the score. They weren't, as I didn't see the play. I don't know for sure, but I don't think they were intending to like run the football and try to get all the way downfield and score a touchdown. I think that it was just to pick up the couple yards they needed to keep the streak going.
Yeah.
And that had Vic Fangio upset. And so, as always happens when something controversial like this, we talk about unwritten rules of sports. Would you have gone for that at that point in time?
Absolutely not. You kneel on the ball and you leave. It's not just the unwritten rule. My initial thought was, well, injury. What if the running back gets hurt? What if the center gets hurt? What if my right guard, or wherever the play went, my right guard, my left tackle, it doesn't matter. Like, what if someone got hurt on that play? Yeah, you get the 100 yards of the meaningless 3 yards for a meaningless streak. But you could have put so many people. What if that Bronco play, that was my main trouble. What if that Bronco player saw that and didn't make contact with the guard, waited for you to get across the line and buried that guy? And, he broke his ribs and he's out for 8 weeks. Like, for a meaningless, my thought process was they literally did break the unwritten rule. It's a meaningless streak. it doesn't mean anything. We're not like us as sports fans. We're not going to sit around, even if we were diehard Baltimore Ravens fan. We'd be like, oh man, remember when they had 5 games straight of 100 yards? That's corporate. That's CBS BS.
I think it's more like 40, but
yeah, but you know what I mean. But
your point is
that's
made.
all they. But that's all that is for that pop on Fox or that's some talking head can be like, well, you know, they had 40 straight games of rushing over 100 yards. Fans don't give a flying fuck about that stuff, like, at all. We're not playing Madden. That's actual football.
Yeah.
That's
I had the same thought.
It's dumb. I'm big on the unwritten rules of all sports. So
I had the same feeling for injury purposes. I did, you know, football especially is a tough one because you got bodies flying around all the time. You know, you run an extra play when you don't have to, and when they're not expecting it, and somebody might get, I mean, accidental or not, you could have somebody get pissed off that instead of taking a knee, you're running a play and try to intentionally hurt somebody. But I had a second reason for not doing it, which was if I'm on the team, I feel like getting that extra 3 yards was kind of cheap.
it is cheap.
You know, I didn't earn that 100-yard game. You know what I mean? Like it reminded me of when Brett Favre basically like laid down so Michael Strahan could get the sack record. It's like, no, try to avoid getting sacked. And if he sacks you, then he's earned it. Don't just hand it to him. I mean, if I was Michael Strahan, I'd be like, come on.
I don't
let somebody else take the
sack.
sack.
Was super happy about getting it that way.
He might not have been.
He might have been. This is, might have been in the moment. Yeah. Oh, easy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Easiest sack I've had all my career.
This was sort of similar thing. When the game mattered, you only got 97 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 100 yards rushing, but 3 of them were kind of.
But what
pointless.
Exactly does that mean? Like, why are we so obsessed with the century mark anyway? Like, it doesn't.
It's a round number.
Yeah, streaks. I guess that's all it is.
Yeah.
Streaks are made to be broken, though. Like, so that streak should have ended so that another team later could break that streak. Isn't that the whole point?
Sure, why not?
Records are made to be broken. We set them to break them. That's the whole point of records.
And I'll give you another analogy. I'm not a big fan of earning the hat trick with an empty net goal.
Exactly. We talked about that one. We also talked about celebrating when you're down.
Yes.
Like that is one. Like if it like my analogy I use with Bryce Harper hits a home run when you're down 10-0, and he's doing his whole thing with the bullpen, wearing the hat, doing all that. Like that's ridiculous. Like he didn't do that. I don't think so. But if he did, I would find that completely ridiculous because that's unwritten. That you don't celebrate when you're losing.
Yeah.
You don't also celebrate when you're winning big.
And I see a lot of that. Not, maybe not baseball, but like football, it seems to happen a lot. Your team is losing big and you come up with an interception or a sack, or you score a touchdown and that gets you within 40. And and
there's a huge but there's a huge celebration in every, NFL's gotten to the point, and we grew up in an era where people would get fined for celebrations, which I guess this is why we find this weird, that if one guy deflects a pass, all 11 guys run to the end zone for a photo shoot. Makes no sense to me at all. Like, I'm all for, like, if you're having fun, have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, if the NFL says it's okay now, that's fine. But it's bizarre to me because I watch dudes literally get fined for, like, Terrell Owens taking a Sharpie, signing a football and handing it to a fan. The NFL fined him because that was bad. Like, that's weird. That's weird that,
and it's another
that quickly.
You also see it a lot in like basketball where, a guy will like dunk on somebody and then flex. And it's like, yeah, but you're also losing by 25, dude.
Yeah, exactly. What a polarizing dunk. Now you're within 30.
Yeah, right. If that dunk was worth 35 points, I might have got excited about it. It's only worth 2. So
home run trots. We see it with we were talking about hockey with the celebrating the goals when you're down 5-0.
Right.
Like it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But that's what we mean by the unwritten rules of sports. There's a ton of. Can you think of any off the top of your head, like really unwritten rules that shouldn't be broken?
I'm a big fan of good sportsmanship. So the unwritten rules of like, not scoring. You don't. So I'll use basketball as an example. Basketball is tough because you've got a shot clock.
Yeah.
And you can't just like let the shot clock run out.
Yeah. That would be lame if you didn't, at least try.
Yeah. But so like you're up 30 points with 5 minutes to go and you see a clear path to the basket and you go in and dunk and flex. That's not cool. Or if 4 seconds into the shot clock, you're jacking up a three. That's probably not cool either.
With not a lot of time left is I think the other aspect of with the unwritten rule. Like in hockey, like you score the empty net goal, that normally seals the game off. So normally it's a game of keep away with hockey. Basketball too, for the most part, guys will just play keep away.
Yeah, you pass it around for 20 seconds.
Yeah. I think
and then just somebody
does the best job of sportsmanship with that kind of stuff.
What's that?
Basketball does the best job of sportsmanship because they just dribble the ball out and they, like everybody just gets in a position. I think like the NBA's done a really good job with that, with the sportsmanship. Yes. Everybody gets in a position and just stops and lets the guy dribble it out.
Right.
He meets all the requirements of getting the ball in within 5 seconds, getting over the timeline in, I forget how many seconds, but then they will literally just create, everybody jumps in the position and he just dribbles the player will just dribble the ball out, which is great. That's what we mean unwritten rule. Like you don't steal the ball and get your 30 points for the game. Like that's not that's not what you're supposed to do. You don't. Yeah. I was telling Steve I once accidentally celebrated when we were down playing hockey, and it wasn't like a celebration. I just put my stick in the air and I really was mad at myself. Because we were down and I felt I let my teammates down because I'm sitting here. I scored, but I didn't do it for the first 40 minutes of the game. It was at the end of the game. I like those things you shouldn't do, but that's also ingrained in us from when we were younger. We were taught a little bit different.
Now, as we talked about, I think there's an exception for that when somebody scores who like
absolutely
never scores, like especially like at the youth level. If you have a kid who's like the last kid on your bench and he happens to score a goal in a blowout, Johnny you celebrate.
Little Johnny makes it 10-1. Little Johnny should get his comeuppance because he made it 10-1 because it was 10-0 without him.
Absolutely. And it's like, that's the only goal he's ever scored in his career. Yeah, absolutely celebrate that. That's
that's big. Those things are big.
Yes.
You got to know your moment with the unwritten rules. You just don't. Yeah. And this goes for the elite version of the players. Like you don't take advantage of the game that way. And that was what I think John Harbaugh did, or his offensive coordinator. It ultimately falls.
Oh, he admitted Harbaugh fessed up. It was him.
Okay. Yeah, but then it's on him because it's just a crappy thing to do.
It is. And I can relate because this has reared its head at my son's hockey level recently. So we played a game. I won't give away the team's name, but they stomped us. Mm-hmm. They're the division of that league that we're in. We probably shouldn't be in the same division as them, but they had two players who were basically scored all their goals. One of whom was all over the ice. She was skating, phenomenal player. Mm-hmm. But when we're down 11-0 in the third period, it's probably the time as a coach to tell her, okay, dial it back
or sit.
Well, I mean, what we do on my son's team is, we move them back to defense or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But we tell them, because you don't want to take playing time away. That's not.
You shorten their shifts and you move them in the positions where they're
but
be instinctual.
You tell them to back off. You tell them to get more teammates involved. Pass it around. one of the leagues that we play in actually has a rule that you can't, as a player, score more than 3 goals in a game, which I like because I think it helps that player to learn also to pass.
Yes.
And involve teammates and not just run end to end up the ice all the time.
Yeah, because if you can score at will, it's kind of not fun for them or anybody else.
Right. So we ended up losing to this team 16-0.
Well,
and the 2 superstar players were running around the whole game, and we weren't happy about it. We were in a similar situation a couple games later, where we were the ones up. We scored like 3 goals in the first 4 minutes of the game.
mm-hmm.
And it just looked like we were going to blow them out. But as coaches on the bench at that point, we're like, all right, guys, let's back it down. And it's hard to tell a group of 10 and 11-year-olds to do that.
Yes.
But they listen if you get on them. It's like, all right, let's back it off. If we're going to score more goals, you got to make 2 or 3 passes first. Try to get it to players who don't get to score a lot of goals.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show some respect to the other team. When you're getting your butt kicked because there's a talent disparity, I don't think it's fair for anybody to run the score up.
No, it's not even fair for the people watching it.
No, I don't think the team that's up learns anything in a game like that.
No.
Well, that's, I'm big on that unwritten rule is, if it's clear that your team is superior, ease up a little bit. And I follow that, and I would hope other coaches would follow that as well.
I think this is a very small incident. In reality, you don't see this all the time in the NFL. You don't see it in the NBA. But it's good that these things happen for life lessons for people that aren't, that don't know the unwritten rules. It's important to follow it's more important to follow the unwritten rules in sports than it is to follow the actual rules.
So there's an unwritten rule that I was not aware of because it was not written.
Exactly. There's a million of them.
If you're playing baseball and you get tagged out or something,
mm-hmm.
you are not supposed to run across the pitcher's mound.
Yes.
I was a pitcher and I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
You go with that unwritten rule?
Yeah, totally. Respect his workspace. It's also like that. Like there's many don't steal base when you're up 5 in baseball. Like you work a walk, like swing away, like when you're up big. I'm okay with all them because you're not trying to. It's not to make it uncomfortable or uninteresting, because this is what you do when you run up the score. It's not interesting to anybody.
Right.
The people that are playing it, the people that are watching it, it's just not interesting. The hardball thing is a little more defined if he just took one play to get, like, that's more of the streak. But when you get like into the unwritten rules, when it's like a blowout, you gotta follow them big time.
Right.
I could see the hardball thing being debated.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it as it wasn't a clear violation to me. You know what I mean? Like,
I disagree with it, but I could totally see someone's point of view if they totally agreed with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say he was a horrible person for doing it.
No, we're not throwing stones at him. No, I just didn't think that was a good idea. But there's so many other ones that, like if I'm watching, like, again with the Phillies, like if Bryce Harper steals second and third after he works a walk, which he hasn't done, like when he's up, like 11-0, I'd feel some sort of way about that, because you shouldn't do stuff like that.
Right. And I don't think
you
would. Right. Well, so, all right, related topic. What do you think of taunting?
It's dumb. I mean, I made my hockey career off of it, but there's a place for it in the game at times, but not all the time.
I am not for initiating the taunt.
Mm-hmm.
if it's in response to something, I'm more okay with it because the other person had it coming, right? Like if you make a save on me and then you put your glove in my face to say, oh, look, I saved you, but then I come and score. Yeah, I'm going to point at the net and be like, there's the puck.
Yeah, I agree, but there's time and place for it. There really is. Most of the time I was taunting when I was playing was because I was being dominated physically, and I had to, playing in front of the net with bigger dudes, I had to
advantage.
Yeah, I had to use my brain to work. Like I needed to knock their confidence down a little bit so I could get open. Like it's just, I wasn't going to physically knock the dude out. So I had to like mentally knock the dude out. But no, I like taunting is, I'm not big on the watching the home runs.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be thrown at if you watch a home run. That's an unwritten rule of baseball. I totally think don't hit him, but you should totally throw in his vicinity.
Don't hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Don't throw it in his
head. Not in
the
the head, in the body all day. Well, Shane Victorino's greatest line.
Oh yeah.
Don't hit me in the bleeping head. Hit me in the body.
Right.
Easy.
So what do you think about like when let's say Tyreek Hill's running down and he flashes a peace sign at the cornerback he just beat?
Shocked because he plays for Andy Reid. Because Andy Reid's like the lamest, follows all the unwritten rules. You know what I mean? That it was shocking to me actually, because I'm like, dude, you play for Andy. Like Andy would have taken Deshaun Jackson off the field for the rest of the game. It shows you how times have changed. Yeah.
Well, I mean that it's I bring it up just because the NFL is cracking down on taunting this season, throwing some flags, and people are not happy about it.
I don't like taunting. I mean, for adults, I could care less, but it teaches kids bad manners.
Yeah, it does.
And that's with my thought process with the sports is the major leagues. The kids are watching that. They're not watching it at a level that the adults are, but they're watching from behind. So you don't want to create those, because then you deal with them at the youth level.
Yeah.
And it's harder.
Absolutely.
It's harder to break that habit when, what's his name? What's his name is watching his home runs. So, I can watch my home runs. No, you should run. Like it's hard to coach at that.
I experienced that. I've got some kids on the team who, they see guys throwing insults at the other team, in the NHL, and then they think it's okay to do it, in youth hockey. And I'm like, guys, it makes me, I do my best to try and tell them not to do it. It just makes me uncomfortable.
Because it is uncomfortable.
It is.
It definitely is.
I agree with you, though. I think it is more because the kids are watching.
Yeah, I know. It's not like I'm sitting up there. I'm like, oh, you shouldn't taunt my team. You're a professional, dude. You should probably taunt my team. They suck. But that's how I feel. But if the kid is watching, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want him to see or her to see that.
Oh, if you're taunting my team, I am going to get angry because it's my team. But
yeah, but you know what I mean? I'm not as mad.
Yeah.
About that, but I think that's my final point of it. I'm more worried about setting a bad example for the kids than I am about worrying about my fandom ego.
Right.
I'm kind of split on that. I don't hate Tyreek Hill for that, but I would say to Tyreek Hill if I could, hey, bro, there are 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds that idolize you, that we really don't want little Johnny running past little Stevie, right? And give him a peace sign as he's beating. Like, that's going to not be well for the confidence of said kid who is on the end of the peace sign and the catch over top.
Little Stevie's going to clothesline little Johnny.
Well, the taunt was that caught it over your head, run in the end zone to the Barry Sanders.
Look, if you want to celebrate, I'm fine with it. Celebrate, but don't.
We've celebrated goals.
Absolutely, but don't direct it.
Celebrate. don't make the crisscross pass and Heil just use us. Steve passed to me, I passed to Steve. Steve passed to me, I passed to Steve. Steve scores, and then both of us look at the goalie and be like, "Yeah!"
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Right. Don't direct it at the other team.
Yeah.
Keep
That's
it,
like us, hands up, and then we high five on the way back to the bench.
Right.
That's what we
Exactly.
need. Like, do it tactfully.
right.
So let's move on. Let's move on to one of our favorite. And I'm trying as sarcastic as I can to get that out.
This is the happy segment, isn't it?
This is the happy segment because we got no old people. We got this old guy, but we don't got any old people jumping at anything.
Yo, everybody over 100, you got to step up your game. Do something.
Exactly.
Get on
Jump out of
TV
an airplane, fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like, beat up Joe Biden. I don't care. Like, do whatever. Like, as long as you do it, you have video of it, I'll put you on. So let's go to this Inquirer article about Angelo Cataldi's finally hanging up those lungs after so many years. Jeez, thank you, Angelo.
That's why this is a happy segment, right? Because he's going to be gone.
Exactly, because he's finally. Oh my God. So my initial thought was, oh, thank God. I don't live in Philly anymore and I don't listen to Philly sports, but I'd be even happier if I was living in Philly. Because yeah, I don't like him at all. I consider him the idiot who brought, and this is actually his words. Yes. His words is, I'm going to be remembered forever for being the idiot to bring 30 idiots to boo the best quarterback that ever played for the Eagles. He literally said that in a McNabb documentary, and I agree with him. But I don't give him, just because he knows it, I don't give him any carte blanche for that. Like, he's still the idiot that brought 30 idiots to boo the best quarterback that ever played.
Yes, he did.
And I hate Donovan, and I'm saying that.
And in the process made Philly look bad because 30 idiots, drunk idiots, were there to do something stupid.
Yes, but the one good thing, I always like to, read these articles and see, like, I appreciate his contribution to the media in itself because, we do this and it has a reflection from being around guys, being as good as he was, for being an idiot, he played a really good idiot for many years. And I'm sure it was partly by design, but he brought us Big Daddy. He brought us Sal Palantonio. He brought us Al Morgani, who I love. You know what I mean? So
Keith Jones. Yeah.
Really appreciate, congratulations on your retirement. We hate you, but congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the same thing with like Sidney Crosby. I hate his guts, but I'll acknowledge he's probably one of the greatest players of all time.
Play a little kid. Don't
Yeah,
like him, but you can play a little kid. No,
absolutely. Same thing with Angelo. I don't like him, but I respect the fact that he was on the radio for what, 40 plus years.
And he did it. He did it well. He did it well in a hard market.
Yep. Absolutely.
So just to finish out, we didn't even discuss this. So welcome to the clusterfuck of this. So we are going to we are going to do our, whatever you call them. What does Matt call them? I don't even remember. Our shameless plugs. There we go.
Oh, okay.
We need to invest in a, what do they call those things?
Teleprompter?
Yeah, thank you. So, Steve, where can people find us?
So people can find us. Well, you guys change this up all the time. Facebook was out and now it's back in.
Yes. Because of Dr. Page.
Because of Dr. Page. You blamed me for it last time.
Well, no. Well, it was also you because you posted something on Facebook and we had to put videos on.
Okay. Oh, well, wait.
But we might hate Facebook now. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. So people can find us on Facebook with short videos, also on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, I thought. So I don't know how you can separate those two. Also, you can find us on TikTok.
Yes.
With all the ladies shaking their booties and the cats and dogs running around. Clapper, in or out? Where are we at with that? Sucky app?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so Clapper for the moment is no good.
Yeah.
But all of those are short videos intended to lead us to our main
YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe. Just share it. Just go to it. Please just view it. I like views. They make me feel special. That's all I care about. More importantly, though, our audio listeners, Steve, where do we do that stuff?
It's amazing you guys don't do this in Portuguese if you're so big in Brazil. I don't know how you find that out, but
we used to be really big in Brazil, not so much.
Oh, not anymore? Oh, man.
But if there is a Brazil listener, we will send you a Steve Dick Rocket t-shirt. Just email us at TwoNoobsTalking@gmail.com.
All right. So on the audio side, we are hosted by Podbean, which gets us our fingers into all the little pies. Such as, let's say, Apple Podcast, we will say iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify sucks big balls.
Bigger ones than they're on your rocket.
Oh yeah, well, they're pretty big, pretty swole. Gotta wait 15 minutes though. So yeah, Spotify sucks. We're also Googleable.
Yes.
Googlab.
I still haven't spelled it out to see how it spells when I say it. I don't know.
We are Googleable on Google. So go to your Chrome and Google us, or go on Edge or Firefox or what's the one? DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo. We got Safari. We got so many. I don't even know why we're naming all these.
You use your browser and find us. We're out there.
You could probably just load the folder up and type an email address, and it probably still works, right, Microsoft?
Windows Explorer, find me two noobs. I'm sorry.
Just look for us, please.
All right, well, John, to the show notes.
Yes,
you're Matt and I'm you. So
yes, TwoNoobsTalking.wordpress.com. Matt says something about like hitting a button or something. It goes right in your email. I don't know. Just read them on there. It's fine. We could probably email them to you if you tell us your email address. We don't know. But they'll be up there eventually. Probably not, but they'll most likely be up there.
Yeah.
So that's how we're gonna end it. As confused as we started it. Thank you, Steve, very much for filling in for Matt. Matt, I hope you enjoy watching this on your vacation, because
look, you're screwing it up again. You are filling in for Matt. I'm filling in for you. Matt is firing 18th century pistols. Yes. The ketchup is on the meat. I don't know what the hell is going on here.
Hold your dick rocket up and put my set back, and we'll finish this thing.
All right, hold on. Let me. You gotta give me
up.
Just hold on, man. Jeez, you're
okay.
making me nervous. Yeah, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's the virtual background.
You can't even see the dick rocket at this point.
Ladies
and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the rabbit hole. See you next time.
This country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by a bunch of idiots. Why do the members of the United States Senate continue to double down on stupid?